Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Sip&Talkers, wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to Sip&Talk.
Hello, everyone.
So today we have to do our sort of, I guess you could call it our misinformation prevention briefing.
You really know how to sell it. Sounds thrilling.
Hey, I'm trying. But, it's not a joke anymore. This tech has gotten to a point where, all AI needs is just 3 seconds of my voice to call my mom and ask for money.
And it would sound just like you.
Exactly. Or, my very lovely face could get swapped onto some very, very weird video. It's not a choice to be skeptical anymore. It feels like a survival skill.
It absolutely is. And that's really the core thesis we've always talked about here. Information literacy, it's just modern digital immunity.
Right.
And the goal, really, for all of us is to build a kind of group immunity. And that's not built with firewalls or anything like that. It's built with logic, with critical thinking.
Okay, so this isn't about just, tuning out and avoiding all news.
No, not at all. It's about building a better filtration system in your own head. So today we're going to analyze the tactics being used right now and then figure out where we can actually find some reliable coordinates for the truth.
Got it. So suspicion leads to truth, not just, hiding under a rock.
That's the mission.
Okay, let's get into this AI avalanche then. Before we can even talk about defense, we have to understand the scale of what we're up against. It's huge.
The data really proves it's so much more than a few funny viral videos. Let's start with the big picture. The World Economic Forum, the WEF, they just put out their 2025 Global Risk Report. And for the second year in a row, misinformation and disinformation is the #1 global short-term risk.
#1. For real. Ahead of, climate change or geopolitical stuff.
Ahead of many of them, yes. In the short-term category, it's seen as this fundamental destabilizing force.
Wow. Okay, so that's not just about embarrassing internet moments. That's systemic risk. What's the actual cost in dollars and cents?
The economic price tag is staggering. It's estimated at $78 billion US.
Billion with a B.
With a B annually. That's the global economic loss from false information.
That is just, it's mind-blowing. And I feel like it's speeding up, right?
It is. The acceleration is what's terrifying. If you look at deepfake fraud incidents, the number of cases in just the first quarter of 2025, it's already more than the entire year of 2024 combined.
So it's not just growing, it's exploding.
Exponentially.
Yes. So why? Is it just getting cheaper to do this stuff? Is that what's going on?
That's precisely it. The cost has collapsed. Think about it, producing 1 minute of a high-quality deepfake video that used to cost thousands of dollars, specialized work.
Right. You needed, a studio or something.
Exactly. And now, in 2025, it costs a few dollars, maybe less.
A few dollars.
The whole risk versus reward calculation has just completely flipped for scammers.
And businesses are the ones paying the price, I imagine.
They are. The average loss for a business in one of these AI social engineering attacks is almost $500,000.
$500,000 from one attack.
And for a big company, it can be way more. We're talking up to maybe $680,000. The tech is cheap, the payoff is huge, and the damage is, it's catastrophic.
Okay, so that's the big picture. Let's make it real. The case files really show how they weaponize, our basic sense of trust.
Let's start with that Hong Kong case from 2024. It was a big one. So there's a finance employee at a huge company. They get invited to a video meeting.
Seems normal enough, like any other Tuesday morning meeting.
Exactly. And on the screen, they see the CFO, their boss, and a few other colleagues, all familiar faces, all talking about a confidential transaction.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
Yep. They were all deepfakes.
The whole meeting, all of them.
Every single person except the target, all AI-generated avatars. The employee was totally convinced, followed the instructions from their bosses, and transferred about $25.6 million US.
25 million.
Right.
That's chilling. Because the AI created artificial trust. It just bypassed all the normal checks.
It did, because those checks rely on a human seeing a familiar face, hearing a familiar voice. If your boss is looking at you, telling you to do something, you're probably going to do it.
Yeah, the psychological resistance is just gone. Okay, so next, shift that to politics. I remember hearing about this during the 2024 U.S. elections.
Right, the New Hampshire robocall. Voters got a call with a fake voice of a former vice president.
And it was a good fake. It was really convincing.
Terrifyingly real. And here's the kicker. The cost to the scammers to make that audio, $1.
Wait, $1? You're kidding me.
$1 US. And it took about 20 minutes to generate. That little investment was so effective, it forced the FCC to outright ban AI voices in robocalls.
Wow. So a tiny investment creates a massive social and regulatory reaction.
Exactly. But maybe the cruelest use of this is the emotional scams targeting families.
Oh, these are the worst. I've read about these.
Yeah. We saw a case earlier this year. A mother gets a call. It's her daughter's voice, crying, saying she was in a horrible car crash and needed money for a lawyer right away.
And she almost sent the money.
She almost sent $15,000. It targets that deep parental instinct to protect your child. It just completely short-circuits logic.
It's pure emotional bypass.
And the data shows how well it works. Synthetic voice fraud just in the insurance sector. It jumped 475% in 1 year.
475%. That's unbelievable.
It is. And beyond money, it's now a tool for pure political polarization. We saw all those videos this year, the ones of victim families in different regional conflicts.
Right. And what did the fact checkers find of those?
They found that a lot of the faces had this unnaturally high degree of symmetry.
A tell.
A classic tell for AI generation. These people didn't exist. They were engineered from scratch to make you feel maximum anger, maximum sympathy. They're designed to create conflict.
So it's not even about convincing you of a fact. It's just about making you feel something.
Precisely. And even the best video deepfakes have these little tells. There was a video of a leader giving an emergency wartime speech. It looked perfect, but there were two tiny flaws.
What were they?
First, the background audio was too clean, too pure. There was no ambient noise, which would never happen in a real room. And second, there were these minute, almost imperceptible errors in the eye movements.
So we have to train ourselves to look past the person and scrutinize the whole environment of the video.
That's the new level of literacy we all need to have.
Okay, so how do we build this mental immune system? You're saying the answer isn't some fancy software, it's logic.
It's logic. And you don't need a philosophy degree, it's really just practicing a few defensive steps.
I like that. Logic is a defensive shield. So what's step one? What's the first line of defense?
Step one is to identify emotional labeling. I call it the amygdala attack.
The amygdala attack, yeah.
The whole point of fake news is to bypass your rational prefrontal cortex and go straight for the emotional center of your brain, the amygdala. They want you angry or scared before you even have a chance to think.
So you see those words like shocking or final warning or the world is silent.
Exactly. You won't believe what happened next, all that stuff. So the practice is this. When you feel that extreme physical reaction, that jolt of anger or excitement, just stop.
Pause.
Just pause and ask yourself, is this message trying to manipulate my emotions? That's it.
That's a good one. Okay, so check your emotions. What's step two?
Step two is checking the consistency of argumentation. Which is a fancy way of saying, does the logic actually hold up?
Like if P, then Q.
Exactly. Does the premise actually support the conclusion? Most of the time, with disinformation, the conclusion is wildly exaggerated.
Can you give me a simple example?
Sure. A headline says, because this one small company went bankrupt, the entire economy is about to collapse. The premise, P, is the bankruptcy. The conclusion, Q, is total economic collapse. You just need to check the scale of P. Was it a small company? Yes. Is it going to end the world? Probably not. The conclusion is inflated.
I like that. You could also do that, what's it called? The extreme logic test, right?
Reductio ad absurdum, yes. Push the logic to its most extreme conclusion. If a rumor says a company is moving its headquarters to the moon, ask yourself, okay, if that were true, why hasn't its stock price gone to zero?
Right. If the logic breaks when you stretch it, it was probably broken to begin with.
It's a great mental exercise.
Okay, so we've checked our emotions, we've tested the argument. How do we get out of the echo chamber, the cocoon?
That's step three. Actively seek disconfirming evidence. This is the fastest way to pop the information bubble, after you read something that perfectly aligns with what you already believe.
Which feels great, by the way.
It feels fantastic. That's the danger. You have to force yourself to search for the opposite. Literally type into a search engine, why might this view be wrong?
That takes real effort. That's moving outside your comfort zone.
It is, but it's crucial. Compare how a source like The Economist or the Financial Times covers the same event as, say, a highly partisan blog. You're looking for credible counterarguments.
And underneath all of this is just that basic skill of telling a fact from an opinion.
That's the foundation for everything. Practice stripping news down to its bones. Take out all the adjectives, all the emotional language. Just look at the verbs and the data.
So if it's an official said X, That's a fact. If it's a terrible official said a ridiculous thing, that's an opinion.
You got it.
Okay, so that's a really powerful toolkit. But now the big question, where do we actually point our skepticism? Where do we find these reliable truth coordinates?
This is where, the idea of authority becomes really important again. In an age of zero-cost AI content, the real value of an authoritative media source isn't that they're perfect. They're not. They make mistakes.
Right. They're run by humans.
But they have a public correction mechanism. They have accountability. They have large fact-checking teams. That all costs money. And that cost is what separates real news from noise. You're essentially paying for a slice of verified reality.
So who are the guides? Who should we be looking to?
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. For the international economy, for data-driven analysis, you want places that live and die by their accuracy. So Bloomberg, The Economist, The Financial Times, or FT.
Okay. Data-driven. What about for, deep domestic reporting?
For that, you need organizations with huge resources for fact-checking. So you're looking at the New York Times, the Washington Post.
And for just the raw facts, before anyone tells me what to think about it.
For that, the bedrock is still the wire services. So Reuters and the Associated Press, the AP, they are focused on just reporting what happened without the commentary.
But okay, let's get into the gray area here, because this is important. If we only rely on those big names, the Post, the Times, the FT, aren't they biased in their own way? Are we just trading one bubble for another, like an elite information cocoon?
That is the single most important question. And the answer is yes. Of course they have biases. They're institutions run by people.
So what's the solution?
The goal isn't to find one single unbiased source. That doesn't exist. The goal is to understand the biases of your sources and then use them against each other to get a fuller picture.
So how do you do that in practice?
You use our 3 logic steps on the authoritative sources. You understand that the FT's main lens is the market, while the New York Times' lens might be more social or political. So if they both report the same fact, say inflation numbers, you read how the FT interprets that for markets, and then you read how the Times interprets it for, say, income inequality.
So you're comparing their interpretations of the same core fact.
Exactly. By doing that, you escape the single cocoon and start to see a more complete, holistic view of reality. It's an active search for nuance, not blind allegiance to any one source.
Okay, so to wrap this all up, what we've really unpacked today is that the old saying, seeing is believing, is what's dead. Now it's more like seeing is frightening.
It is. And logic is our protection, not to win online arguments, but just to make sure we're living in a world that's, real.
Yeah.
And achieving that group immunity is actually very simple. It happens when everyone just takes a 10-second pause.
Just 10 seconds.
10 seconds before you hit that share button. That tiny moment of thought is enough to break the entire chain of misinformation.
A 10-second pause. That's the key.
Ah.
Okay, before we go, give us one final thought to ponder.
All right, here's something to think about. When a piece of information you find is not only free, but it also aligns perfectly and powerfully with everything you already believe.
Yeah?
You're very likely not the reader of that propaganda. You're the target.
Wow. When it feels too good to be true, it's probably a trap. That's a powerful way to end.
Keep practicing that critical thinking, everyone.
And that 10-second pause. If you got something out of our talk today, please be sure to subscribe to the Sip and Talk podcast and also check out our good friend Mickey's YouTube channel, Mickey to Life, for some fun memes and travel vlogs.
He's great.
We'll see you next time.